I'm going to speak a little bit to my thoughts on tobacco specifically first, and then I'm going to kind of continue back into a little bit of the philosophy of why it is that I'm running for Congress and what challenges I see unfolding nationally, because ultimately they all dovetail. In fact, I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to focus a little bit on my national philosophy, because if you understand where I come from, you'll understand how I feel about tobacco. You're going to understand how I feel about animal rights. You're going to understand how I feel about energy policy. Because fundamentally, I want to see less government regulation, I want to see less taxation, which I think ultimately punishes small business people, and I want to see less litigation with unrestricted litigious actions and frivolous lawsuits. So the three pillars that I run against are what I consider to be an axis of evil. How all this dovetails? I think that the tobacco industry is overly regulated. I don't appreciate it. Now, I wouldn't argue that it's the most important cash business in our district. It's one of them, but certainly we've seen that agriculture and in fact livestock, hogs, chicken, probably the most important drivers in our district. But all of it comes back to the ability to export. All of that requires that we have open trade policy. All of that requires that we have tax codes that don't punish our family farmers or our larger organizations. And right now, what exists in this country, and we have, it's very easy. We've got representatives that claim to be conservative and they claim to be pro-business. The only problem is, to the extent that they're a Democrat, they're enabling a majority, which right now is making it very difficult for big and small business to operate. And all of that uncertainty we're seeing in the marketplace is what's causing jobs to go away. With regards to tobacco specifically, while I'm not an expert on all the trade policies, I've been using it since I was 17 years old, and my father's a smoker. Now, I'm not justifying his behavior, but I am absolutely an advocate for individual choice, and I don't think that the federal government needs to be taking a position on what you're putting in your body, how or when. Having said that, I give you that piece of my philosophy because that overarches to how I view the role of government generally. So we can look at it in tobacco and we'll look at it in other areas, but I think that the government ought not to be, I think that right now tobacco is overly regulated. I don't think that it needs to be regulated by the FDA. I think that it needs to stay an agricultural product and not be considered a drug. And that's my position on tobacco. I support tobacco farmers and I support it as a source of industry in our district. Okay?